Welcome to Stranger Connections, where I celebrate wonderfully weird people and quirky stories. I'm your curious beast and host, Lisa David Olson, the practically world famous business humorist, interactive speaker, and speaker trainer. Reach out if you want to have some help to reignite your team or event, or you want to find your way to the TEDx stage. I'm your gal. I want to help you. It's not about me, though, today. I am so excited to talk to someone that offered a great t-shirt.
Oh, you're wearing your t-shirt, Lisa. I didn't know. Oh, that's so awesome.
Surprise! Look at
Surprise.
me.
I
I love
love that.
my t-shirt. Please welcome Katrina McGhee, who is a career break and sabbatical expert, author, speaker, and certified coach, best-selling author of Taking a Career Break for Dummies. What a fantastic book. And also, she is highly recommended by her niece who read the whole thing. Welcome, Katrina.
Ah, thank you, Lisa. I think that's my favorite intro ever. Thank you for that.
I am so tickled to talk to you because I have 1,014 questions, but not enough time for that. But that's what the book is for.
Yeah, I'm ready. This is exciting.
I am so thrilled. So, you say that you have a cheat code for a successful break to leave your job. And my mind is like, what? But then I went on to read about that. So let me ask you first, why did you want to leave your corporate job? We are all so just chained to the desk, to the corporate job. Our parents taught us you work hard and then you get to play hard for maybe 4 days and then you go back to working hard. So tell me your gig.
Yeah, that is such a great question. I knew that I wanted to take a break in 2011. I had been working with a life coach. I was feeling really stuck, Lisa. I felt at that point of my life that when I looked the place I was at, I didn't recognize the person I'd become. And I don't mean that, I was nasty or mean and, like those internal sort of like intrinsic characteristics, but I didn't really recognize the life that I had. I was a very creative person. I was a lot of fun. I really loved people. I loved adventure. And the life I had did not reflect that because it was largely overshadowed by the 9 to 5 grind, which was really more like an 8 to 6 or 7 p.m. grind that I had been on, right? I had an MBA. I had changed careers just a year or two before that. And I felt very stuck because I thought I changed my life, but I still had this feeling that it wasn't right. And I just didn't like the path I was on. And I was smart enough to know if nothing changed, as in if nothing changed, in that moment, like if I didn't make some big decisions quickly, I was going to blink and be 65 and retiring from a job that I didn't even want, living a life that didn't even feel like mine. And that just felt like such a waste. And so I had this idea after working with my life coach. It took me a lot of coaching to give myself permission to want what I wanted and to even honestly know that was what I wanted. But I just had this epiphany one day sitting on her couch talking about something completely different, that I wanted to take a break. So that's what I did. I had no savings. I think I had $1,500 in my bank account. I had, 50 something $1,000 worth of student loan debt, a townhouse that I rented out that was underwater because of the housing crisis and the housing market stuff. And I was just like, I have to find a way. So I saved $40,000 in 18 months, gave my job 8 months notice, left, and traveled until I ran out of money, which was 20 months.
How does one go from student loans, all these things, no savings to banking 40,000? Was it legal? You can tell us
It
here.
was it was a lot of hard work, some creativity on my part, and yes, 100% legal. Although I will say, and this is something I like to tell people, I don't always get to share this part of the story, but I still had debt when I took my break. So I made sure to pay my minimum payment, which was $700, every month. I continued making that while I was saving money. So that was a non-negotiable. But I knew that once my break started, I wasn't going to have an income. And some of my loans I could put into forbearance and some I could defer. So some gained interest while I was on a break, some didn't. But I just paused them. And the most incredible thing is that when I came back, many people would say, that's insane. You pay off your debt first so you don't have to pay interest. And I'm a math person. I was an actuary for 8 years. I get the math on it.
Right.
But the truth was that time is not guaranteed. And I felt like I was losing my zest for life and my will to be excited and to like really live. And it felt like my timeline needed to be inverse and I needed to just go live and find some joy and refill my cup and my tank before I came back. And when I came back, I still had about $42,000 worth of debt, but because of the excitement and the joy I had for my break, I was inspired, reinvigorated, motivated, and the money, because of the person I became with money to save for the break and then to travel for 20 months on, less than 40K, I paid off all of my student loans in 21 months. And that includes taking a $15,000 pay cut, 1 year into my post MBA career because I wanted to go work for this really small company that I was really excited about that had asked me to come join their team.
Fantastic. Do you think you would have gotten to the moment of saying, "Oh, P.S. I'm giving you guys 8 months notice because I've been shoving coins in my sock drawer," and would that have happened without this life coach?
So good. Lisa, no, I actually just sent her a message. It's so funny you asked that. I actually just sent her an email yesterday, um, reminding her how much I appreciate and love her. And she, responded that she said, I think you were my favorite client ever. She was like, you were so ready and so ripe for coaching and for change. But I have to be honest, no, absolutely not, because I think I would have found my way to some type of alternative life, but it would have taken me 1 to 2 decades longer. I would have had to become even more fed up with the life that I had. I think people oftentimes change more so because the pain is too great versus seeking the pleasure of what they want, although sometimes that's enough. But having a coach helped me not have to hit the ultimate rock bottom to move forward in my life and to really go seek that pleasure before the pain became completely unbearable.
And that's what I'm sure you take forward while you're coaching. I mean, there's no way that didn't inspire your style of coaching as well. So you're helping
Absolutely.
people. I mean, this book is fantastic. And that you got to pair with the For Dummies series, the Wiley brand, is
Yeah.
really impressive. Is this you on the cover?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Lots of people ask me that. It is not. So they have a policy where unless you're a celebrity or something and like it really benefits them to have your face and your face is sort of everywhere anyway, they don't put authors on the cover. So she does look a lot like me, but that
She
is not
does.
me.
You both have
Yeah.
this beautiful head of curly hair. So I had
Yeah.
to ask that because that's
Yeah.
my brain. So there you go. But
Yeah.
meanwhile, you can learn how to afford the break and decide how to spend your break. I mean, that's a lot to think about. If I had that time off, I'm not sure what I would do because I've never traveled alone like that. I did my latest TEDx, I did travel alone, but it was from point A to B and I stayed with a family. So I mean, it's not like I was just, doing my solo trip. But
Yeah.
in the book it talks about leaving your job on a high note and on good terms. So what did that feel like? You said your corporation supported your 8-month notice and it was all rah
Yeah.
rah. I don't think everybody faces that, but
Yeah.
what was that like to say, "Oh,
Ooh,
hey, can we talk a second? Let's shut the door."
yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said that. And I'm so glad that you said, this maybe isn't true for everyone because here's the crazy fact. And then I will totally answer that question. I have coached many clients. I'm at 73 career breaks supported, like people who've actually taken a break
Yay.
and are either on them now or have come back from them. And I have never coached a client and gotten feedback. So some clients work with me for just one intensive, most work with me for 3 months or longer, but I've never had someone come back that I know of and tell me that they had it go poorly. Every single client I've ever talked to or that I was coaching with before and or during them giving their notice says to me, that went better than I expected. And here's the truth, right? Here's the truth. My company was supportive of me because I framed it with clarity about what I was doing and a compelling vision for the life I wanted, even though so much was uncertain. And when I coach my clients, right, and this is in the book as well, you have to have a foundation of your break if you want to make sure that it's going to be successful. You have to know what success is so that you're designing that with the end in mind. So that means knowing the purpose, right, creating a purpose statement and also creating your 3 to 4 themes, the pillars, the sort of like, North Stars or the guiding lights, if you will, of your break. I knew that. I was working with a life coach. We didn't talk about this explicitly. This is sort of a framework that I developed, but in working with her, I was being so intentional about my life. I was like, I realize the purpose and I know my big why. And I think I'm going to set 4 pillars so that each, quarter of the year is going to be, because I thought it was going to be a 1 year break at that time. It's going to be focused on, each of these pillars. And when I gave my notice, I was like, I'm going to quit my job and travel around the world. And it's like, what? And it's like, yeah. And I'm going to focus on rest. And then I'm going to go have some adventures. I'm going to spend a lot of time with my family. I'm going to take a road trip around the US. I had these pillars I could articulate, and I had this bigger why. And so when I coached my clients, they themselves have that purpose statement and those themes. So when you go to give your notice, instead of saying, I have to tell you something. I'm going to quit my job and I don't know what I'm going to do next. I just know that I'm taking a break, and there you have it, right? Okay. Well, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, do you know what you're doing? Is that are you should I be giving like you some support, some SOS over here?" But if you come into that meeting and you're like, "Listen, I've decided it's time for me to put myself back at the center of my life. I realize I have not been. I'm so excited. I'm going to take 6 months for me, and I'm going to go have some exploration. I'm going to go, learn a bunch of new things, and I'm going to rest very deeply so that I can come back completely re-inspired and recharged." People are going to be like, "Oh, that sounds amazing. Okay, that's awesome. Can you tell me more about that?" Right?
Yes, that is something I can't imagine any employer would say, "Oh, you're the 3rd one this week to say that. Yeah, I know where you're at.
Right.
I align with you." I'm sure they're on the other side of that desk going, "Damn, why didn't I think of that?"
Right, exactly, and people will say that. People will be like, "You're so brave," or they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could do that." And then they want to live vicariously through you because they think what you're doing is so fantastic and at least interesting, right? Even if they're still, like, kind of afraid putting themselves in your shoes, they're still like, "That's incredible."
Yes, absolutely. And that's when you find out your true friends. Those who support this wacky, fresh idea and say, "Yay, yay, I got pom poms out for you." And those who say, "Oh, I'm going to watch her crash and burn." Okay, bye bye. Bye bye. And then you also recommend officially announcing your break after the workplace is notified. You say, shout it from the mountains, which is, i.e., social media.
Yeah. The mountains of 2024. Yes. No, it's so true. Not everyone has to do that, but I say if you find, if you're on social media already or you feel comfortable doing so, I really encourage people to make some kind of announcement. You can make it in your circles. It doesn't have to be on social, but if you're on social media, it's a really great opportunity to invite people into your world, to advocate for you, to support you. And it's exactly the same as the process I went through writing this book. When people come on a journey with you, when you get to the end of that journey, they are standing at the finish line ready to cheer you on, to celebrate you, and to ask, "What can I do to help you next? Like, what are you going to do next, and how can I help you?" And, I believe that part of the success of my book initially was because I did give people snippets, behind the wall of like what was going on and what the process, the ups and downs of writing a book was really like. And the same for your break. It's like if you make this announcement, you're kind of inviting the people that want to come to you to be connected, to send an email, to check in, to send you a text message, to take you out to dinner, to go out to happy hour, to tell you how excited they are. I had a coworker that I didn't know very well. I met him one time, offer up staying with his family in Bogota, Colombia, if I decided I wanted to go through Colombia. And he was like, "I will hook it up for you." I totally took him up on that. I stayed with his cousin. She kicked their little son out, and like he slept with the mom and the dad, and like I had the cousin's room, and they took off work to take me out. It was so crazy and so amazing. But if I wasn't telling everyone, I would have missed so many opportunities for people to celebrate with me, to support me in different ways. And I just think a lot of times we have a lot of fear that people aren't going to understand. And I think if we're sold on the fact that we're taking a break, even if you don't know exactly all the things you're going to do, people will read that energy and want to get a front row seat to that, right? It's fascinating.
Right.
It's different. It's special.
Yes, and it's also facing that inner voice that says, "Well, you can't do that because that's just not the norm, and you shouldn't do that because," and I talk about this all the time, that voice inside of us saying, "You can't write a book, nobody will read it." that's the voice you say, "Oh, yeah, watch this." And that's a normal thing. Our doubt is actually the thing that should be encouraging us. But too often we fold to that inside thought. And so you're out exploring. Tell me, what did you get to experience while you were on this fantastic sabbatical?
Yeah. Okay, Lisa. Well, we don't have time to go all the places, but I will be honest and say, I saw some amazing things. I will give you a rapid fire highlight reel, but also to set the context, I had been saving for almost 2 years. I had given 8 months notice. I had a plan. And I was like gunning for this amazing life changing experience. It was going to be the best time of my life. And then, very unexpectedly, a week before my break started, my younger brother passed away. And he was my favorite human. I
Oh, I'm
loved him so much.
so
I still do,
sorry.
but yeah, and
Oh,
we were born like 3 years, one day apart. It was tragic. It was the worst event of my life. And now I'm
absolutely.
sitting in the duality of life that is, hey, here's one of the best moments of your life mashed up with one of the worst. What are you going to do about it? And it was
Yeah.
really, really hard. So a big part of that journey became about healing, and not healing from grief as in there's a neat finish line, but healing enough to be a person, a whole person that could come back to work 20 months later, and a person that had enough inspiration to keep going in life and to keep dreaming and to keep wanting to live. And I credit my break with that so immensely, right? So a
Mm,
lot of crying happened, but
mm.
also some really amazing things. I took a 3 month road trip with my then boyfriend in a big circle around the US. And it was so fun. He'd never been to the South really. He grew up
Oh,
in
wow.
Minnesota and then like traveled and lived abroad for a long time. And so we went to like New Orleans and Atlanta and we ate a lot of great food. And I went to Colombia and then lived in Argentina for a month. I just rented an Airbnb, kind of sight unseen. I was the first guest that that person had had, but he seemed really nice and the pictures looked fine. And it was
Oh,
like
geez.
$500 a month. So I was like, let's, in a great neighborhood. I was like, let's do it. And it was really wonderful. We ended up becoming friends and like I met his girlfriend and we went out for like birthday dinners and stuff. It was really fun.
Jeez.
Yeah, then I went to Europe and then I came home because my mom got sick unexpectedly. Luckily she was fine, but I dropped, everything after especially what had happened with my brother and I flew home from Italy. Thank goodness for points and miles. And I was home
Oof.
for 6 weeks. And then I flew back to Asia and I continued on my break and I was out there for 3.5 months. I got certified as a yoga teacher in Bali. I spent time in Thailand. I went to Vietnam for the first time, which is one of my most favorite places. And then I came back and moved to Denver and decided to like really do some exploring in a really fun and inspired way before I decided like what I was going to do next and went back to the job market to figure out like what my next move was going to be.
Incredible. I am so sorry for the loss of your brother. That is a piece of you that's forever changed, and I totally align with that. And you wonder if, I'm sure his coaching was with you as well, his voice going, "Go do this thing, do it," and that kind of sounds like your journey reminds me of that eat, pray, love kind of story, and that
Yeah,
you
it
were
definitely, yeah, there are definitely some similarities. And I have, as cheesy as it sounds, Elizabeth Gilbert planted a seed for me because I read her book in 2009. I was in between my 2 years in business school and I could never quit then. I was like, oh my God, I would have so much debt and no degree. So I just kind of buried that seed really deep. And then it came back up, 2 years later in my coaching, but she planted a seed for me. I remember putting the book down when I was like reading it, just being like, wait, nobody told me adults with good jobs that are responsible people can just quit for no other reason other than that they want to go travel the world and they can just do that. That's something I could do. Like it literally never occurred to me that was something I could do. I thought, oh, I missed my window to travel, travel abroad. If I was going to do it, I should have done it in college. And so she blew my mind and it kind of, unintentionally sort of mirrored some of her journey for sure.
And that brings me to how we all feel we need permission. When I'm out speaking, I'll ask people, "What's something you would like to do?" Like, you got your yoga certification from Bali. Oh, no big. NBD. I'm just in
Ah,
Bali doing yoga.
MBT.
I'm
Yeah.
so hip. And so I think that's incredible because when I'm out speaking, I'll say to somebody, "What's something you would like to do?" And maybe they're like, "Oh, start my book or paint my room bright pink." I give you permission. If you're waiting, do it. Stop waiting for everybody to align with it and agree with it. do the thing. Because generally, if you can undo it, why not try it? Why not get a buzz like that?
Amen, Lisa. I mean, that's sort of the underlying message and purpose of my book, right? It's about what do I need to give you for you to give yourself permission to do the things you want to do and take the time to go do them. And that's exactly what the book is about. Is it money? Okay, let's figure out your money. Is it planning? I'm going to tell you how to plan it. I'm going to tell you how to plan it for success. Is it giving your notice, right? Is it handling naysayers? Like all of that's in the book because at the end of the day, it's exactly what you said. I'm giving you all of the tools and addressing all of the obstacles standing between you and your dreams so that you can give yourself permission to go for it.
And you talk about 6 parts to walk you through step by step in creating a wildly successful break from beginning to end. I mean, come on. I can tell that you like spreadsheets, you like
I do.
PowerPoints,
I
but
do.
that
I was
works
an
for my
actuary.
brain.
Yeah.
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 I like bullet lists. This is great. So, navigating your break, exiting gracefully. There's bonus material. Folks, you need the book. And also, when you did go back then to corporate life, was that like putting on pants that don't fit right anymore? What
I
was
love
that
that
like?
so much. I love that you asked that. Yes and no. Yes and no. So I was very clear when I went back to corporate. I was honestly kind of disappointed. I was hoping to have this huge life-changing epiphany on my break that was going to be like, "Oh, this is the career that I was meant for and this is the thing I should be doing." And then if I just knew that, everything would be worth it and everything would feel easy and I could just go chase my next dream. And it wasn't like that at all. I had to get really clear on, in the absence of that epiphany, what is it I want next? And the answer was to become debt free so that I could feel financial freedom and go for any dreams that come up forever and ever for the rest of my life. And so, within those confines of trying to get debt free as fast as I could, corporate was how I knew to do that and to do it quickly. And I didn't want to start a business or try my own thing with the burden of all of those student loan debts hanging over my head, all those loans. So, it was a compromise. I was like, okay, I'm going back to corporate, but I'm coming back as the new me. I'm coming back empowered, and I'm only available for jobs that truly spark something in me, even if it's not my dream job, like that sparks something in me. And I ended up finding my corporate dream job. It was working in the natural and organic food space.
Ooh.
It was a company I had wanted to work for, but they weren't big enough to hire my types of roles when I left General Mills to start my break. And then they had grown over the 2 years, and they were at that moment hiring someone um, kind of like me with a little bit more experience, but because I was awesome and I had a great resume and I showed up to really, sell my break and sell myself, I ended up getting the job. And it was incredible. So it was still corporate, right? And it was kind of like, oh gosh, I'd really love to be doing something different and outside this office. But given that it was corporate, it was so amazing to find a job that paid the same as when I left, that actually aligned with my values in a bigger way and also allowed me to explore more ways of contributing and do more exciting things. So I was really lucky for that, but I'm not the only one. I have clients that when they decide to come back, for the ones that do come back to corporate, a lot of times they find jobs that are better. Either they pay better and they're just better aligned, or sometimes they've changed so much that they find a job that just fits the current version of them. And there's so much more peace and happiness with that.
The
So, yeah.
current version of you. That is brilliant right there. And we all need to understand every day we have something. It's okay to change and grow. And that is fantastic. The current version of you. I love that. And so, who do you recommend comes to work with you for Katrina McGhee coaching?
Yeah, I love working with people in mid career. So, when you've got some years under your belt and you have more than earned this break, if you are feeling like you're scared to take a break, sometimes my clients aren't even sure. So they hire me and they're like, I really want to take one, but I'm not 100% sure I can. By the end of the first session, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally taking a break." Like, I just had trouble giving myself permission, but now that we're here and now that I've done the pre-work and I've talked to you, like I know this is happening. But whether you're considering it and strongly desiring it and don't know, or you already know, or you're on a break, I really love helping people that want this break to be transformational in the way that the version of them post break and the life they have post break feels different. It's like something needs to change beyond just wanting a break. It's like, I want to go into this experience and I want it to improve and enhance my life. And I want to come out the other side a better version of me, a more empowered version of me, a more clear version of me. And that's the kind of change I love doing. As a certified life coach, I'm all about the deeper work. So we'll do the consulting and the logistics and all the things on your break itself. But I love clients that want to go deeper and really are looking at their life and saying, I don't know what comes next, but it can't be more of that. I have ended that
Right.
chapter. I'm at a crossroads and I'm ready to take a right or a left, but I'm not continuing straight ahead.
No, and do you see from that, since COVID, more people are open to saying, okay, didn't know I was going to be able to survive that change. I just went through that. Do you see that surviving being, sheltered in place during a pandemic, are people more open to that or are they more afraid to do a big change?
Yeah, they're more open. I also think sabbaticals and career breaks are gaining momentum. The Harvard Business Review has an article about it. The Dummies people found me and they actually asked me to write the book. So I didn't even pitch it to
Wow.
them. So that says a lot when a major
Jeez.
publisher is like, hey, we want to write this book on this topic. Would you consider being our author? And so I think
Wow.
that, yeah. And so I think the momentum of that is giving more people permission. More people are being exposed to it. LinkedIn now has a career break feature, and I think they have for like a year and a half. You can put
Oh,
very easily that you're on a break and describe, or that you were on a break, describe like what you did on the break. So I feel like it's becoming less of a barrier for many people. And I think a lot of people wanted it before, but thought it was like so fear, like they had so much fear about it. And it seems so irrational or irresponsible in their mind. And I think the tide is turning where more people are seeing more people do it and therefore it's becoming more permissible. So I think everybody wanted one. Maybe some people didn't realize, like me, that they really needed one, but I think that there's a lower barrier to entry now, and so more people are taking advantage of having this one precious life and wanting to live it in a different way.
oh, right. You're not going to regret that which you did. You're going to regret what you did not do.
Yes, Lisa, we're not gonna be on our deathbed going, God, I wish I hadn't traveled around the world that one year when I was really spry and excited for life and had like,
Exactly.
good hips and a good back. And I just like did all the things. I really regret that. I wish I'd sat in that office for a year longer.
Yes. I have a friend who, at the same time I was working in the office at a hospital, she was working in the nutrition area in a cubby. So, the half wall and everybody's lined up. She just got up one day and said, "This is not going to do it." She just quit on the spot. And I mean, she's been on the cover of different national magazines. She is brilliant. And I see that how that works. You have the same energy of going, "This isn't me. Yeah, somebody else might need this spot, so I should open it up for somebody else that really needs it."
It's so true. And the thing is that you can't see all the miracles waiting ahead of you until you take that next right step. And then the path starts to reveal itself. And I had a client just send me an email 2 days ago, and she had a lot of concerns, obviously, about taking a break. And when she heard my episode on a different podcast, she was like, oh, I could take a break. I've been wanting to quit my job, but I could take a break before I do something else. And so then she hired me and she was like, is this okay? Like, of course it is. We planned it out. She went on her break during our time. She sped up her timeline. Once she started going, she was like, I'm here. I'm doing this. And she sent me an
Wow.
email a couple days ago because we finished coaching like maybe 2 months ago. And she was like, my son got into college, and I think me being here to like help him and support him and just be a presence here while he was going through that was really helpful. And she was like, and he got an amazing financial aid package. And I think me being on a break actually was a really helpful part of that. And so, how the
Oh.
heck would she know this? This was not part of her strategy, but it's like when she followed her heart and when she did the thing that she needed to do for herself and her well being, the positive ripple effect is so big. And it's in ways that you can't imagine right now when you're sitting in the office grinding it out, thinking, just one more bonus, just one more year, just one more promotion, you know?
Oh my word, to think of how that affects more than the person. Of course, it affects the whole family, and when you're a better version of yourself, you're gonna be a lot happier to be around. People are going to different opportunities are gonna open up. Wow, I love this conversation. I can't wait for people to reach out to you, and they can go to, kmcgeecoaching.com, yes?
Yes, that is
And the book
correct,
is
Lisa.
Taking a Career Break for Dummies, and we'll put all the links in the show notes and wherever else we share this. So Can't let you go till I ask you. Can you please share a dare or a prank story, one you've done, had done to you, or just know about?
Yes, Lisa, I can. So I'm going to tell you about a failed prank. Okay. You ready for this?
Ooh.
Failed prank.
Mm,
I was in college and I'm 44. So this was a while ago. It was 1999. It was my first year of having a cell phone and it was my birthday. So I was at Howard University in DC that year and I had several friends. Like I had several, maybe 4 or 5 good friends. And I was really excited. Like maybe we'll do like a dinner thing or we'll go get cupcakes or something. But I was just assuming that they would want to hang out with me. That whole day, no one was around. I was calling people, and I mean, I had a cell phone, but some of them didn't, but we had phones in our rooms at that time, like landlines, and I was trying to reach all of my friends, including the one that had cell phone, and, like, nobody was responding to me, and, like, they weren't not just answering my call, but they weren't calling me back, and I was just like, "It's my birthday," and I started having this really sad pity party where, like, no one loves me and I'm so forgotten, and then randomly, my sister who lived in Atlanta called me at, like, 4 o'clock, and she was like, "What are you doing? It's your birthday. I'm coming to Baltimore for a work thing. I wanna come pick you up in DC and take you with me, and we'll spend, the evening at we'll go out to the Cheesecake Factory or whatever because that was cool back then, and we'll, like,
yes.
do like, we'll do the fun stuff for your birthday." And I was like, "Okay, great." And it turns out all my friends who were not smart were pranking me, and they thought it would be funny because they were planning a surprise party, but they thought it would be funny if they acted like no one
Oh.
remembered it was my birthday and that they just ignored me for the day. They thought it would add to the power punch of surprise, except joke's on them because at like 7:30, one of my friends called me and she was like, "We've been waiting for you. Like, where are you?" And I was like, "I'm in Baltimore at my sister's hotel." And they're like, "We have a cake here and
Oh.
everything, like, we were throwing you a party, but you're not here." And so they sang me happy birthday over the phone, and that was it. And I was like, "Well, guys, sorry, you can't act like you don't know who I am and
Oh
that
my.
you don't have time for me." So anyway, failed prank on their part.
And where did they expect you to show up? Where was here?
So we were all living in a dorm, and so they were like, "Oh, we'll just come by her dorm room and,
Oh.
like, surprise her or whatever." Yeah.
Well, technically, it was a surprise party.
Technically, it was without the guest of honor.
Wow, that is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Did you take it well, or were you kinda ticked off?
I was sad. I mean, I was sad. I was sad because I thought my friends didn't love me, and then I was sad because I missed a party, and I was like, "Could somebody have just, like" everybody knows you need a handler. If that's the bold move you're going for, there's gotta be that one friend that's, like, the handler that's, like, keeping
Right.
tabs on the person or, like, "Hey, do you wanna go to lunch with me? Hey, do you wanna go on a walk? Do you wanna go to the mall?"
At
Like, rookies.
5:06 specifically? Yes.
Yeah,
You're right, a
rookies.
handler.
Mhm.
So that is the takeaway from this story, not that there has to be. Or at least buy cake you like yourself, if you're not
Yeah.
gonna invite the party guests.
Right.
Oh, I am honored to have chatted with you, Katrina McGhee, and remember, we can only be strangers once, and I invite you to stay weird.
Love it, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.